we have to be real and be realistic. Everybody's getting sicker. Everybody's getting fatter. Everybody's getting all these mental issues, but everybody's on more medications. So it seems to me the winners are the ones that are making the medications.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, as opposed to the system that I am putting forth, right? I think this is a system that both you and I are advocating. It is a system, in short, of self-care. And so this system is actually what we put forth as an alternative or as the answer to what we are experiencing today. Now, it actually gets deeper than that, Brother Jones. Check this out. Even when we look at diabetes, let's take diabetes, which everybody is familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
In 1960, 1% of the adult population was diabetic. 20 years later, in 1980, 2% of the adult population was diabetic. By 2020, 40 years later, 11.4% of the population is diabetic, right? So it's an exponential climb. Now, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Even though 11.4% of the population today is considered diabetic, remember, 38% of adults are considered pre-diabetic.
Right.
You see what I mean? So that means if you line 10 people up, 4 of them are pre-diabetic. And the funny thing is, most of them don't even know it.
Right. Right.
Right? So you have a system where you have people that think they're healthy, but they can't tell, they can't feel that things are going wrong. And so it's funny when somebody just one day they go to the doctors and they say, "Oh, you're diabetic." They're like, "Well, when were the signs?" Well, brother, you were. The signs were there all along, right?
Exactly.
And so people act like they just caught it, like they caught a cold, like somebody sneezed, and I woke up with a cold. It wasn't my fault. No, you were a participant in a lifestyle that put you at risk for this particular chronic condition. And so one of the reasons I call it self-care, right? A system of self-care or self-care system, or the name of my book is Self-Care Advocate, is because it involves a sense of responsibility. You have to be preemptive about your health, protective about your health, and proactive about your health.
That's right.
You have got to be, yes, sir, you have got to be so interested about your health that you're asking the right questions, that you're paying attention when things start acting out of sync, right? You don't just kick the can down the road, so that when, God forbid, you're diagnosed with something, you're not like, what? What? How? Lord, help me. It's like, wait a minute. He didn't make you drink the soda. That had nothing to do with the man.
Exactly.
And so that is the system that I am advocating, because ultimately, you have a lot of noble people out there that feel that, well, we can turn this ship around, we can get the healthcare system. I think that's going to be very difficult, because you've got too many minds that are entrenched in a particular way. And so to steer the ship, it's going to take a lot of decades, generations even, to change things, because any industry that's making money off the current system is likely going to resist change. Let's be honest. Okay.
Right. Absolutely. It's too much money involved.
It's too much money involved. And I think people have to wisen up to understand the realities of the world. Okay. And so I just wanted to and I want to give people an illustration, because I want them to understand this. Listen, if you have a yard, you have a front yard or backyard, and you take care of your yard, you like to mow your grass and trim it, keep it nice, looking good. And all of a sudden you find weeds. If you just take your lawnmower and go over those weeds, what do you notice the very next day?
That they grow back.
That they grow back, right?
Absolutely.
So it's a never-ending battle, because you can mow those weeds again. what do you see the next day?
Exactly.
They grow back, right? So it is a never-ending battle. Now, one of your neighbors is looking at you doing this thing day in and day out, and he's thinking, Damon, it's kind of silly, brother. Why are you doing this?
Exactly.
And what he would probably tell you is put on some gloves, get down and dig down, uproot them, pull them up by the root, right? And then put the right seeds back in that spot so that come tomorrow and the days thereafter, you have grass, right? That seems to be a logical solution to that weed problem that you have, right? But check this out. Let's use healthcare in that same scenario. Okay? You have high blood pressure. You go to your doctor. Now, mind you, the average medical visit lasts only 12 to 15 minutes. So there's no way on earth that doctor, no matter how smart, how caring, there's no way they can go over what you've eaten over the last 6 months, let alone year.
Right.
Okay? There's no way. There's not enough time because the system does not reward that. And so that doctor is going to give you a medication that's going to lower your blood pressure, right? But what happens the next day? What happens to your blood pressure? It goes back up, correct?
Exactly.
And so you take the medication again, and you do this for years and years and years. Now, of course, you increase your risk of side effects. Every medication has a side effect.
Exactly.
Okay. And sometimes the side effects will manifest as just new conditions.
Exactly. To give you more medication.
And I always say this, listen, in my experience, I have never seen someone go from 5 medications to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 to no medications. What I do see, and what everybody in healthcare sees, is people going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and so on in terms of the number of drugs. So you are growing sicker, right? Metabolically out of sync. And of course, you're getting more medicated. So the makers of the medications are the real winners in this system, not you, the individual. And so it becomes our individual responsibilities because, again, the system's not going to change overnight. In fact, we're spending almost 90% of healthcare spending on chronic diseases. We spend less than 1% on prevention and preventative services. Think about that. Think about where our priorities are with this system. And so I am an advocate for self-care advocate, as in people have got to stop being victims. First, victims mentally. You've got access to the internet, right? You've got access to a lot of people, a lot of podcasts, a lot of health coaches, a lot of holistic programs out there that you can look into as far as learning what could be a potential solution to your problem. Okay. And so that's the first step in becoming a self-care advocate. It's the understanding that wisdom and knowledge is perhaps the most valuable things and could even save your life.